Hello and welcome to Heirs and Spares, the show where we bring you insight and opinion into the lives of two other famous royal couples on either side of the Atlantic. I'm Kinsey Schofield, and I'll be bringing you updates on the Duke and Duchess of Sussex here in California.
And I'm Rupert Bell, and I'll be bringing you all the latest news about the Prince and Princess of Wales.
The tension between Meghan Markle and the royal family has reached a breaking point. Prince William has made his final move, leaving Meghan publicly humiliated and with no choice but to leave. What happened behind closed doors? And why is this betrayal the final nail in the coffin for the Sussexes? Stay with us as we reveal all the shocking details.
I'm so jealous because you have been seeing a lot of the Princess of Wales lately, Rupert. I don't know if we anticipated that. Remember, everybody kept telling us it was the word gradual, and it's fine, but I've actually been pleasantly surprised by the amount that we've actually seen Catherine lately.
I think, let's be honest, I think she's probably felt up a bit cooped up.
Yeah.
And actually what we want to see is her out and about, and she's probably wanted to do it. Children are back at school, managing her life. I mean, a lot of these events are taking place in London, but she has been down to Wales. So it's not as if she's traveling the length and breadth of the country. But I think it is important that she's out. We saw lovely pictures of her getting off a bus the other day, holding a hand of a little child as she was going into another event, very much centered around what she wants to do, which is about the early learning and bringing on and helping young children. That's very much her focus of attention. So she's going into what I suppose you might deem the kind of safe places that she feels less under pressure. But as we know, I think she is beginning to be glad to be back out on the road, very much on her terms. And I think that's what the palace have always wanted to maintain, that she does it on her terms, but she will try and be out and about as much as possible. Look, we've got half term coming up in this country next week, and I've already heard the Prince of Wales is not going to go to the BAFTA Awards, which for people who don't know is our equivalent of the Oscars, because it's the first week of the half term for the children, although he says he'll be making sure that his role within BAFTA won't be forgotten and helping young filmmakers, but he won't be seen at the ceremony, and that I assume means that the Princess of Wales won't be there either.
From the very beginning, Meghan Markle's entry into the royal family was anything but smooth. The tension between Prince Harry and Prince William escalated over the years, but what happened recently was beyond anything we've seen before. Sources inside the palace say that William's final move left Meghan devastated. But what was it? And why is this a turning point? According to royal insiders, Prince William has officially cut all ties with Meghan and Harry, severing any last hope of reconciliation. But that's not all. His latest actions have reportedly led to public embarrassment for Meghan.
I suspected that we would not see her once we were told she was going to be incredibly picky about where she was going to put her energy, because she's in remission, but anything could happen. She's prioritizing her health and her family, and I respect that and I applaud it. But knowing that she is going to be pickier as to what she chooses to do, I think it's pretty common sense to imagine that she's going to cut out red carpets. The BAFTA's incredible what they do, but it feels like she really wants to get down in the nitty gritty. I love the way she squats when she's talking to kids and the way she'll play with their little hands. And I think that's where her heart is. And that's totally fine. I love seeing it. There's a new book out called Yes, Ma'am, The Secret Life of Royal Servants by Tom Quinn, where he really explores the differences this isn't a competition, but he explores the different ways that the Princess of Wales, Catherine, and Meghan entered into the royal family. He did say, according to one of the courtiers, that Meghan thought Catherine was just too eager to please, too much a goody two-shoes girl. But they turn around and explain just how clever Catherine was in the way that she carefully absorbed the atmosphere of the palace, the relationships between people, and their rules. She didn't jump straight in or try to change anything. And she was just very intelligent and intuitive into the way that she became such an important staple within the royal family. And she wasn't only coached by William, but kind of these younger employees too that she trusted. Talk to me about some of the pieces you've read out of Tom Quinn's book in that comparison. Did you feel like they were accurate?
I think it's nothing unusual. And I think the reason we all know, obviously, we've all discussed the Meghan involvement when she arrived in the royal family, that sort of very brash American sort of actressy wanting to be the center of attention. Whereas the Princess of Wales, Catherine, comes from, I suppose we would call a very middle class British background, but very much with a focus, very monarchist and understanding of the royal family. Although many of the sort of snootier royal courtiers are the thought that perhaps she wasn't even good enough for the future king because they looked, that she wasn't quite from a traditional aristocratic background, mother running a party planning thing and they're running businesses and it's not the norm.
Forcing her into a desperate escape from the UK spotlight. What did William do, and why now? As news of this betrayal spread, social media exploded with outrage and support from both sides. Some are calling William's move justified, claiming Meghan has only brought scandal to the monarchy.
But I think that's been Catherine's very clever game, is that if you call it a game, is we're not here to ruffle feathers. I've joined the firm, and it is my job to be a part of it. I'm married into the firm, and it's for the long haul, because the marriage, is now supposed to be one that won't go the way, sadly, of what so many other royal marriages have done and end in the divorce courts. And, it requires an understanding of the complicated relationship that she's going to have, not only trying to be a conventional wife, but you're actually a wife to the future King of England, and that comes with added burdens. And so that's why she played and has been playing the long game. And it's probably quite hard in a remission set of circumstances because, there's always probably in the gnawing back of the mind, is this wretched disease going to come back? Am I going to be allowed to just freewheel back into it? So she's always probably got that sort of gnawing away, as any cancer sufferer will have at any stage and throughout their life. So it's not an easy area to navigate for her. But I think what we have seen ever since she came, I suppose, back properly at the Christmas Carol service, that she's been able, that long game process is definitely working to her advantage, and hence the reason why it's a pretty strong game. And the book, I don't think, casts her in anything other than a positive light.
He should start by removing dead weight. Right.
The book also kind of casts Meghan in a positive light sometimes. But I, as I've been discussing it, I've been telling followers and viewers, he is very open when he says that some of these contacts were close to Meghan Markle. So obviously, like, some people might have an agenda in their storytelling for the book. Did anything stand out to you? I think what stood out to me was the idea that Meghan, there were whispers about Meghan being inappropriate with William, too touchy-feely, Catherine, William, and Charles flinching when Meghan moved in for a hug. Did anything stand out for you specifically?
Well, that's probably, she comes from an actressy background. There's a lot of moi, isn't there? That's, sort of touch, the hugging, hello, darling, and a big hug and all that sort of stuff. Whereas probably within the royal family, it's a much more reserved and strained approach. Yes, warm, but not in that overtly physical way that actually was alluded to in this book. But I think what it does say, that when she did arrive in the royal family, the general consensus, particularly from the sort of the king and his brother, that she might actually be a force for good. And I think that's, when you look at how it's unraveled, then she began to, maybe it was the naivety of Harry not explaining well enough. Yes, he'd fallen head over heels in love, but it's not easy coming in, and particularly for an outsider. And yes, of course she knew what the royal family was about, but it's one thing knowing about them, but once you're part of it, my goodness me, it's a whole different mindset, particularly when you're used to being the center of attention. Yes. And you are the star of the show. She was always is a supporting actress when it comes to the royal family, because she's not married to the main man. Now, she'd been married to William.
While others argue that this is a personal attack against Meghan and Harry, but what does the public really think? And how is Meghan handling the backlash? Faced with growing hostility and isolation, Meghan has reportedly decided to distance herself completely from the royal drama. But what does this mean for her future? Will she and Harry make a shocking move to rebrand their image?
But she's not. And she's married to the spare. And that became increasingly difficult for her. She couldn't understand why they moved into Nottingham Cottage. Harry seemed quite happy with it. He understood it was in the palace grounds. But probably Meghan thought, well, why aren't I living in a flipping great big palace?
Right.
You know, and instead I'm living in a fairly pokey little cottage. And things like that began to unravel for her in terms of her comfort within the royal family. And then with Harry's approach going, it's all about Meghan. And then he suddenly began to feel there was conspiracy theories left, right and centre against him, which obviously then led to the departure as they did all those years ago.
There was also mention of the fact that Meghan had a hard time wrapping her head around the fact that Prince Harry had to ask permission to see his grandmother, that there was certain protocol that she really just did not understand. I feel like that's a personality trait of hers, that if she doesn't like something, she wants to change it versus trying to understand why the process is the way it is. Did you get that sense in reading this excerpt from Tom Quinn's book?
Look, and you can understand coming in, why can't, when you go and see a family and join a family, why can't you just pop in and see his grandmother? It just doesn't work like that within the royal family. The Queen's diary, and this is the book actually reflects, they have everything done for them. Yeah. From the moment they get up, there is someone telling them, sorting out what they're wearing. They're not actually having to think like normal human beings.
The real antagonists in this never-ending royal drama are Meghan and Harry themselves.
And they have everything done to them. Their diary is worked out months in advance. What can you do? And it's not straightforward. So every day, it's not like you and I, we can basically think we have a sort of degree of flexibility about our diaries. But it's not like that. The royal family, unless they end up in hospital, their diaries are set in stone and that's where they're going. Okay, they may agree. So it's a very different mindset. So when you're coming in as a sort of brash American actress with, who's used to, in a way, being the focus of attention, suddenly you've got royal courtiers who definitely want to do things by the book and see her as the new kid on the block. They want to make sure she fully understands that this is not her place to start telling people how to behave. And that's what she didn't deal with. And she's probably struggled ever since, from the moment she was told she couldn't wear that tiara at the wedding.
And is there any chance of a royal reunion, or is this truly the end of the road for the Sussexes? Before we dive into what's next for Meghan, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update on this ongoing royal saga. One thing is clear, this royal rift is deeper than ever. With Prince William making such a decisive move, Meghan Markle finds herself at a crossroads. Will she fight back, or will she step away from the drama for good? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, we'll keep you posted on the latest royal developments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.